Echoes of defiance. First contact. The unexpected spark. The silence of the United Nations Emergency Command Center was punctuated only by the soft hum of advanced computer systems and the measured breathing of global leadership. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, Earth's chief sinological strategist, stood perfectly still, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the approaching Xerian fleet. 12 massive crystalline ships hung in Earth's orbital space, their architecture a blend of organic curves and geometric precision that defied human engineering standards. Each vessel was larger than multiple city blocks, radiating an impossible combination of technological sophistication and biological complexity. "They're not responding to standard communication protocols," reported Commander Michael Chen, head of Earth's First Contact Response Team. His fingers danced across multiple holographic interfaces, attempting every known method of communication. Dr. Rodriguez understood the gravity of the moment. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this possibility, not with fear, but with calculated preparation. Every global government, every scientific institution, every military branch had been quietly building towards this singular moment of potential existential challenge. The Xerian transmission finally broke through, a cascade of mathematical sequences and quantum-encoded language that would have been incomprehensible to humans just decades earlier. But humanity had changed. The global education system's radical transformation in the past 30 years, emphasizing adaptive thinking, cross-disciplinary knowledge, and quantum communication theories, had prepared an entire generation for precisely this scenario. "Translate," Rodriguez commanded. The AI systems, developed through collaborative international efforts, began decoding the alien communication with remarkable speed. "Greetings, terrestrial civilization." The translation emerged. "The Xerian Collective acknowledges your technological emergence. Your species is hereby invited to demonstrate compliance with galactic standardization protocols." Commander Chen's hand unconsciously moved to a hidden communication device. A pre-established protocol was already in motion, not of submission, but of strategic engagement. Dr. Rodriguez knew this wasn't just a moment of first contact. It was a test. The Xerians, like many advanced civilizations before them encountered in diplomatic simulations, expected a predictable response: submission, awe, or terror. Humanity would provide none of those. "Prepared diplomatic package Alpha," Rodriguez whispered. It was a meticulously crafted response, not of weakness, but of calculated strength. Embedded within seemingly straightforward diplomatic language were complex quantum signatures, technological markers, and subtle psychological provocations designed to challenge the Xerians' assumptions. The response would demonstrate that humanity was neither a primitive civilization to be conquered nor a naive species to be easily manipulated. They were something entirely unexpected. As the transmission prepared to launch, Rodriguez reflected on the decades of preparation. Not just technological, but philosophical. Humanity had transformed itself, understanding that first contact was not just a technological challenge, but a test of collective intelligence, adaptability, and strategic thinking. The Xerians were about to learn that humanity was not just another species to be categorized and controlled. They were a force of nature, unpredictable, resilient, and fundamentally uncontainable. First contact had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. Echoes of defiance. Technological adaptation. The human edge. Deep within the global technological integration complex, nestled beneath the Andes Mountains, Dr. Kai Nakamura stood surrounded by fragments of Xerian technology. What most would see as incomprehensible alien artifacts, he saw as the most exciting puzzle humanity had ever encountered. The research facility hummed with an energy of controlled chaos. Hundreds of the world's brightest minds from diverse backgrounds worked in synchronized harmony. Physicists stood shoulder to shoulder with materials engineers, quantum theorists collaborated with mechanical designers, and cultural anthropologists provided insights into potential alien thought processes. The quantum communication matrix, Kai muttered, manipulating a translucent crystal-like component that seemed to shift between solid and energy states, is not just a communication device. It's a living system. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo, a quantum systems expert, approached with a holographic overlay. Notice how the molecular structure responds to cognitive patterns, she pointed out. It's not technology as we understand it. It's more like a symbiotic organism. What the Zarians didn't understand about humanity was its fundamental approach to adaptation. Where other civilizations might spend decades studying alien technology with reverence, humans saw it as a challenge to be understood, dismantled, and reimagined. Within weeks of first contact, humanity had already begun developing hybrid technologies. The Zarian communication crystal that was meant to be a sophisticated communication device was now being integrated into Earth's emergency response networks, dramatically improving disaster prediction and management systems. In orbital research stations, engineer Marcus Rodriguez was leading a team that was literally rewriting the rules of technological development. They weren't just studying Zarian technology. They were breaking it down, understanding its fundamental principles, and then reconstructing it through a uniquely human lens. Their energy conversion systems are elegant, Marcus explained to his team. But they're also predictable. We're going to make them dynamic. The global response was unprecedented. Every university, research center, and technological institute was mobilized. Open-source platforms were created to crowdsource technological understanding. Citizen scientists worked alongside professional researchers, creating an unprecedented collaborative intelligence network. What the Zarians had intended as a demonstration of technological superiority was quickly becoming humanity's greatest opportunity for growth. Each piece of alien technology was a gateway to understanding not just advanced engineering, but entirely new ways of conceptualizing reality. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had been instrumental in first contact, watched the developments with a mixture of pride and strategic calculation. Humanity wasn't just adapting to alien technology. They were transforming it, making it something entirely new. The Zarian collective had expected a primitive species they could categorize and control. Instead, they had awakened a civilization of innovators who saw every challenge as an invitation to reimagine possibilities. Little did they know, humanity was just getting started. Echoes of defiance, strategic resistance, turning the tide. The first Zarian military engagement came unexpectedly. What they believed would be a swift pacification mission quickly devolved into a nightmare of human unpredictability. Aboard the Earth defense flagship Prometheus, Admiral Zara Khan watched the incoming Zarian battle group with calculated calm. Unlike traditional military commanders, she represented a new breed of strategic thinkers, those who understood that warfare was as much about psychology as it was about technology. Incoming fleet composition, reported Lieutenant Carlos Mendes, 17 capital ships, 72 support vessels. Conventional Zarian assault formation. Khan's lips curved into a subtle smile. Conventional. The word itself was humanity's greatest weapon. The Zarian fleet approached with mathematical precision, their energy signatures cascading in perfect geometric patterns. Their tactical algorithms had mapped thousands of potential engagement scenarios. What they hadn't calculated was human ingenuity. Activate Chimera Protocol, Khan commanded. What followed defied every known principle of space warfare. Instead of a traditional defensive or offensive formation, Earth's fleet fragmented. Small, seemingly random groups of ships began moving in what appeared to be chaotic patterns. The Zarian tactical systems began to struggle. Their predictive models, built on millennia of standardized galactic conflict, couldn't process the seemingly nonsensical human movements. Each human ship was a hybrid, part reverse-engineered Zarian technology, part human innovation, weapon systems that violated every known engineering principle, defensive screens that adapted in real time, communication networks that were more organic neural system than digital network. They're breaking our targeting systems, a Zarian fleet commander reported, his voice rising in disbelief. The human ships weren't just defending. They were learning, adapting with each millisecond of engagement. What the Zarians didn't understand was that humanity had transformed warfare from a technological challenge to a psychological one. Every ship, every weapon system was designed not just to fight, but to confuse, to challenge, to force the enemy to question their fundamental understanding of conflict. Decoy systems that weren't decoys, communication signals that carried multiple layers of misinformation, weapon platforms that could reconfigure themselves mid-battle. The battle lasted less than 3 standard galactic hours. When it ended, 12 Zarian ships had been disabled or destroyed. The remaining fleet retreated, something unprecedented in their military history. But the true victory wasn't in the physical destruction. It was in the psychological impact. The Zarians had encountered a species that didn't just resist. They reimagined the very concept of resistance. Back on Earth, in various command centers and research facilities, teams were already analyzing the engagement, preparing for the next encounter. Not with fear, but with an almost academic excitement. Humanity had sent a message louder than any weapon. We are not just another species to be conquered. We are a force of continuous, unpredictable adaptation. And this was just the beginning. Echoes of defiance. Psychological warfare. Breaking alien assumptions. The Zarian Central Intelligence Hub orbited a neutron star, a massive computational complex that had processed strategic information for thousands of galactic generations. Its quantum processors were designed to analyze and predict the behavior of countless civilizations, but nothing in its vast database could have prepared it for humanity. Dr. Arya Chen, Earth's chief psychological warfare strategist, understood that the most powerful weapon was not technology, but perception. Her team had been working on a project that would fundamentally challenge everything the Zarians believed about intelligence, communication, and conflict. "Initiate Rosetta Protocol," she whispered into her quantum communication device. What followed was not a military attack, but a sophisticated psychological operation that would redefine the concept of interstellar communication. Embedded within seemingly random data streams were complex psychological triggers, cultural provocations, and intellectual challenges designed to destabilize the Zarian collective mindset. The Zarians had evolved in a hierarchical society where information was tightly controlled, where conformity was the highest virtue. Humanity introduced concepts that were fundamentally destabilizing, ideas of individual creativity, radical innovation, and the power of unpredictability. Mathematical sequences that didn't follow expected patterns, communication signals that carried multiple, simultaneous meanings, cultural references that challenged their understanding of intelligence and social structure. In their research facilities, human teams worked like psychological architects. They weren't just sending messages, they were creating intellectual viruses that would challenge the very foundation of Zarian thought. A team of linguists, led by Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, had developed a communication strategy that was part language, part psychological warfare. Each transmission was a multi-layered puzzle. On the surface, a standard communication, but beneath, a complex challenge to the Zarian understanding of communication itself. The Zarian intelligence networks began to show signs of strain. Their predictive models started to fail. For the first time in their documented history, they encountered a species that didn't just communicate. They transformed communication into a form of intellectual combat. Intercepted Zarian communications revealed growing confusion. Their leadership began to question fundamental assumptions about intelligence, about the nature of civilization itself. "They're trying to understand us," Dr. Chen noted to her team. But understanding is no longer their advantage. Confusion is. Humanity had weaponized uncertainty. Every interaction became a complex psychological game where the rules were constantly changing. The Zarians, who had spent millennia perfecting a model of controlled interaction, found themselves facing a civilization that saw unpredictability as its greatest strength. The psychological warfare wasn't about destruction. It was about demonstration. A clear message that humanity was not a species to be understood, categorized, or controlled. As the Zarian leadership frantically tried to develop new strategies, human teams were already 10 steps ahead, preparing the next layer of their intricate psychological challenge. The galaxy was watching, and humanity was rewriting the rules of engagement. Echoes of defiance, cosmic negotiation, redefining interstellar relations. The diplomatic summit convened on a neutral space station positioned at the intersection of 3 galactic sectors. It was a meeting that would reshape the understanding of interstellar relations forever. Dr. Elena Rodriguez led the human delegation, not as a military commander, not as a traditional diplomat, but as a representative of humanity's collective intelligence. Beside her stood representatives from every continent, every major discipline: scientists, philosophers, artists, and strategic thinkers. The Zarian delegation arrived with centuries of diplomatic protocols etched into their biological communication systems. They expected a traditional negotiation, a process of submission or conquest. What they encountered was something entirely unprecedented. "We are not here to fight," Elena began, her words translated through a quantum communication matrix that captured not just language, but cultural nuance. "We are here to understand, and to be understood." The Zarian lead negotiator, First Arbiter Xalran, struggled to process the human approach. Humanity had demonstrated unprecedented military capability, psychological complexity, and technological adaptability. Yet they were proposing collaboration, not conquest. Dr. Rodriguez unveiled a comprehensive proposal that was less a diplomatic document and more a vision of collective evolution. It proposed a new model of interstellar interaction, one based on mutual learning, technological exchange, and collaborative problem-solving. "Our strength," she explained, "is not in uniformity, but in diversity. Our ability to adapt is not a threat, but an opportunity." The proposal included unprecedented provisions: open-source technological exchange, collaborative research initiatives, cultural knowledge-sharing programs, mutual defense agreements that respected individual civilizations' autonomy. The Zarian delegation was confronted with a paradox. Humanity had proven itself capable of defeating them militarily, yet was choosing cooperation. This was a concept entirely foreign to their hierarchical, conquest-driven civilization. Xalran realized that humanity represented something more than a potential threat. They were a catalyst for evolution. As negotiations progressed, it became clear that the conflict was never truly about territory or resources. It was about fundamentally different approaches to intelligence, growth, and civilization itself. Humanity offered the Zarians something they had never experienced: a partnership of equals, where differences were celebrated, not suppressed. "We do not seek to change you," Elena said during a pivotal moment. "We seek to learn from you, to grow with you. Our differences are not barriers, but bridges." The final agreement was more than a treaty. It was a blueprint for a new kind of interstellar relationship, one based on mutual respect, continuous learning, and the understanding that intelligence is not about control, but about adaptation. As the summit concluded, both civilizations understood that they had witnessed the birth of something unprecedented. Humanity had not just survived first contact. They had transformed it. The galaxy would never be the same.